And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FV Show, we are kicking off our Week 10 game recaps, breaking down every single Week 10 matchup, all through the lens of fantasy football. Up next, the Washington football team versus the Detroit Lions. If you're excited for this game recap, be sure to hit that like button down below like an open receiver downfield. Also, smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so you never miss a video from me. And last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. The DMs are always open. Be sure to hit me up for any kind of fantasy football related question you may have. But let's jump right in between the Washington football team and the Detroit Lions, and let's dive right in, shall we? Detroit got up early. Washington made it a game late, but Detroit comes away with the win, defeating Washington by a final score of 30-27. Alex Smith in his first start since that gruesome injury where he had 17 surgeries on that leg. 38 of 55 for 390 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, just a whole lot of yardage from Mr. Smith. Antonio Gibson came through for you in a big way. 13 carries, caught all 4 targets for 65 total yards and 2 late touchdowns. J.D. McKissic, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about him in this recap. 8 carries, 15 targets, caught 7 of them for 49 total yards and a touchdown. I forgot to throw the touchdown in this graphic. And Terry McLaurin did Terry McLaurin things for you. 9 targets, 7 receptions for 122 total yards. Unfortunately, he did fumble as well. On the other side with Detroit, Matt Stafford, 24 of 33 for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the story for Detroit is Deandre Swift, who saw 71% of snaps, his season high, 16 carries, 5 for 5 through targets and receptions, 149 total yards, and 1 touchdown. Marvin Jones also had 10 targets, caught 8 of them, 96 yards, and a score. So the big story here that we're going to talk about is kind of twofold, and it really does center around the running back position. Starting off in Washington, we have to talk about Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic. So Antonio Gibson only played, I believe the number is 36% of snaps, while J.D. McKissic played north of 70. And the reason why this is significant is because we've seen this a few times this season. Whenever Washington gets down, they go to J.D. McKissic. I believe the stat that was floating around the internet last week, and I talked about it on the live stream, was Antonio Gibson coming into this game only had 1 touch on 3rd down. And we know that, and the other thing that we know is Alex Smith loves to check down. He's done this his entire career, whether it was with Kareem Hunt during his rookie year, Jamal Charles before that. The check down Alex Smith has been a thing, right? The only time where Alex Smith did not check down in totality was when the Chiefs just had that crazy offense the year before Patrick Mahomes, when Alex Smith was trying to keep his job from Mahomes. That was when we saw Alex Smith start to throw downfield and just really become this fully fleshed out quarterback. But since this injury, obviously, the game plan is to really kind of keep Alex Smith upright and safe, and that's going to lead to a lot of checkdowns. And that's where J.D. McKissic fucking thrives, right? He is the scat back. He is the pass catcher. He is the 3rd down machine. Like 15 targets for J.D. McKissic. And this schedule for Washington, as I've talked about, it is very nice. We then go to Cincinnati and Dallas back-to-back weeks upcoming before Pittsburgh. And so if we are at this point, if we're trying to hype up Antonio Gibson, we now, in theory, also have to hype up J.D. McKissic, because with those target numbers and his ability to potentially get into the end zone, he's just a guy who you should start as your flex option in all PPR formats, because that's where he's going to be the most valuable, and he's getting the work to produce in that role. Antonio Gibson, though, again, really did play well. 13 carries for 45 yards on the ground. Not great. It's only 3.5 per carry, but getting in the end zone twice certainly does help, and it kind of has been the story for Antonio Gibson all year, right? If Antonio Gibson gets in the end zone, he's going to have a good game, and if not, then he likely is not going to. But the thing that's actually really encouraging, right? we know that this Washington offense has kind of just historically, right, over the course of the past few years have really struggled to get the ball into the end zone, largely in part due to bad quarterback play. But these are the numbers for Antonio Gibson. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has 7 touchdowns. Like, that is crazy. Like, he has 7 touchdowns on the year. We're 10 weeks in at this point, and it's been a really nice thing to see, because that was the concern for me with Antonio Gibson coming into the year. I love the player. I've raved about him all offseason, but would he be able to come onto the field, produce, and get into the end zone? Or would we get a situation like a Zach Moss or Devin Singletary, where just getting touchdowns blatantly for the running back position is kind of hard to come by, right? So Antonio Gibson has impressed. It's only going to get better. But again, there is that concern of if the game script goes the wrong way, like it did in this game versus Detroit, there is potential that he is going to be removed from the field. And that's always a bit concerning as we start to enter the playoff stretch, where you can't have it to where your RB2 is just not playing or is only playing 30% of snaps. Because if you're not going to get that touchdown, then what good is he really for you? So that's my only concern for Gibson going forward for the rest of the season. And I do want to say this, because I was asked about Antonio Gibson in dynasty formats. Like, don't trade Antonio Gibson. I've seen a few people be a bit freaked out by the usage of J.D. McKissic. McKissic signed a 2-year deal this offseason with Washington, and after this season, it's a It's a $500,000 dead cap hit, so it's literally pocket change for them. So I do expect McKissic to be released after this season. Yes, he's nice to have, but they can easily turn Antonio Gibson into a 3-down running back. Terry McLaurin's great. I don't want to talk about him too much, but I do want to talk about the Detroit Lions, and specifically Deandre Swift. If you know, if you watched the live stream this past week, or if you watched my How I Trade video, I acquired Deandre Swift in Dynasty, and I traded away Joe Mixon for him. I traded Joe Mixon for Deandre Swift and DJ Dallas. The plan for that was to get my team as young as possible, and that way my timeline's the exact same. I'm essentially trying to wait out a juggernaut and then strike when I can in 2 years or so. So I traded for Deandre Swift, knowing that Swift is going to be on the rise. And this was a trend that we all kind of saw coming. I talked about this on the Week 10 preview stream. Deandre Swift coming into this game, in 4 of his last 5 games, has scored double-digit fantasy points. He is seeing anywhere between 13 and 17 opportunities a game. And what is going to happen when he gets the bulk of the work? He's literally going to get the ball 20-plus times every single game. And what happened 15 minutes before kickoff on Monday, or on Sunday rather? Ian Rappaport tweeted out, Detroit Lions rookie running back Deandre Swift is expected to get his first start and see the majority of the running back work. And buddy, did that happen. Deandre Swift, 16 carries, 81 yards, caught all 5 of his targets for 68 yards and a score. Deandre Swift played 71% of snaps, and this was what we all expected to happen at some point. We just didn't know when. Deandre Swift, all season long, whenever he was on the field, he was getting all the work, essentially every single snap he was on the field. He was making incredible plays. He looked great. And just the reality of the situation is he's better than a 40-year-old Adrian Peterson, and he's better than Kerryon Johnson. So why Deandre Swift was not getting the work earlier, I really think it's just one of those things where they wanted to see what Adrian Peterson still had left in the tank. They wanted to figure out if Kerryon Johnson had anything left at all. Remember, Kerryon's only like 23, 24, so he's still super young as well. But Deandre Swift is just better than both of those players. And finally, he got the opportunity to show it, and he did great things with that opportunity. So as far as I'm concerned, fire up Deandre Swift in your lineups going forward. I mean, Adrian Peterson, I believe, played 12% of snaps, and Kerryon Johnson played 15%. So this is the Deandre Swift show for the rest of the year. If you were in redraft leagues and you were able to hold on to him, God bless you, because I know it's not been a fun time to hold Deandre Swift for the better part of this year, but this is going to pay off for you in big ways as we enter the fantasy football playoffs. Anything else I want to mention here? Kenny Golladay did not play with that hip injury. I want to bring up Marvin Hall. I expect Kenny Golladay to be back next week versus Carolina. But if he isn't, Marvin Hall has put together 2 really nice games in the 3 games that Kenny Golladay has missed. You're looking at a game with 4 receptions for 113 yards, and then this week he had 61 yards and a score. So just a kind of a name to keep an eye on. TJ Hockenson did not play well. He was a bit banged up coming into this game, battling a toe injury. But other than that, let's just keep it rolling, shall we? So thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. Try to do this for every single Week 10 matchup. You can also follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture, where I love to answer all of your start-sit questions, trade offers, waiver wire pickups, and anything else fantasy football related, excuse me. And with that, I'm going to get up out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever, and I will see you in the next video.